Hey guys, this is a video on how to change your rear brake rotors and brake pads on an Audi TT MK3. And this is for people who don't have the VACCOM or the computer devices you need to push in the parking brake motor, because I don't have one and I think I found a way to do it without the computer. And I haven't found a whole lot of videos on the TT MK3 for the rear brakes, so I decided to make this video. If I look inexperienced, it's because I am. This is the first time I'm touching my rear brakes on my car, or on any car for that matter, so if you're familiar with touching your brakes, then it's going to take much less effort and time for you, but since it's my first time, wish me luck. Here are the tools I'm going to use in this video. Some paper towels, a caliper piston compressor tool. They don't need to be the special kind. Any caliper piston compressor tool will do. I have an impact for the wheel nuts, but you can use a breaker bar, but I'm just going to use my impact. Some anti-seize. I got this one. I think it's aluminum. And then this is the Audi lug cap remover. You can find this near your spare tire. A 17mm socket for my wheel nuts. This is an E11 socket, the star kind. And then this is a T30 bit. A 5mm Allen, 7mm Allen, some torque wrenches, some brake clean, brake lubricant, a screwdriver, a wire brush, and then some racketing wrenches, a hammer, and I want to say this is optional, but I got some Loctite for my bolts. I like using them on my bolts. And then I think this is optional, but I got these from Audi. This is for the parking brake motor. It says, the service manual says you need to replace the seals to a new one, so I just got them. But if you don't have the new ones, then I think you can use the old ones, but that's up to you. And the bolts for the parking motor. So the first thing I'm gonna do before I lift the car up is I'm gonna open my brake fluid reservoir, because we're gonna be pushing the caliper back in. I'm just gonna have the cap sitting on like that. First, I'm gonna take the caps off with the Audi clip remover, and then I'm going to use my impact gun to unfasten the bolts or the lug nuts. If you're using a breaker bar, the tires need to be on the ground. You first break them and then you lift it, and then you can, do the rest of the job. But I'm going to be using my impact gun so the tires are off the ground. So first, we're going to take the caliper guide pins out. That's that one right here, and the second one right here. There's going to be a plastic cap, so take that out with the screwdriver carefully. And then we're going to use a 7mm Allen to take the bolts out. This one, you might not have much room for a ratchet because of this brake line. I'm going to try, but if I can't, I'm just going to have to use the Allen the whole way. This one has enough room, so I'm going to use a ratchet to take the 7mm out.
A few moments later.
Set these aside. Second one. Now we're gonna take the retaining spring out. I think you have to do this first before you take the bolts out, but I forgot. I'm gonna do that right now. Screwdriver. I don't want to damage the paint too much. See, this is something you don't want. I damaged all the paint here, but oh well. Now we're going to take this off very carefully. Just wiggle it out. And here are my brake pads. I know I have a whole bunch of meat left, but one of my toxic traits is spending unnecessary money on my car. So yeah, that's basically new. So now we have our caliper out. The first thing is we're gonna take this connector out. You have to push this button here, and I'm gonna use a screwdriver to push it, but don't, careful not to break it. It's plastic. There we go. That's the connector. Next, I'm gonna take the 2 bolts out here from the parking brake motor. They're gonna be 5mm Allens, and then carefully wiggle this out. Don't break your car. There. Put this aside. Now we're gonna turn this clockwise. I think you can use your fingers. Let me try. Yep, you can. But I'm gonna use my socket, just because. Right, so clockwise. Nope. You just turn it until it stops you. Don't break it. Pull it out. And now your parking motor is fully, inside. Now the service manual says I need to replace the seal. That's the seal I was talking about. So I'm going to use a screwdriver to take that out. Old seal. A little bit of brake lubricant on the seal because the service manual says so. For the new bolts, I'm going to put a little bit of Loctite on them. Now we're going to take the brake rotor off. That's going to be a T30.
A few moments later.
use some brake clean, and then I'm going to use a wire brush to get some of the rust off. I'm going to give it a final wipe. And make sure to clean your brake pad carriers as well. Before I install the new brake rotor, I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize on the hub. When your new brake rotor is coated, like mine is, this is to prevent like corrosion and stuff like that. I believe they don't put any grease on it. I can't feel any grease. But if yours is not specially coated and stuff like that, it may come with a little bit of grease so that it doesn't rust during delivery or whatever. If it does have a little grease on that, you want to wipe that away with brake cleaner, but mine isn't, so I'm just going to give it just a slight wipe, and then first I'm going to slide it in. Make sure the bolt aligns with the hole. And then put in the bolts. I don't know why, but Brembo's new bolts, they're not the same. They're not the T30. They're like a weird cross-shaped. So they're different from the original ones. Oops. If you want the torque specs for the bolts, they should be, I want to say 12. The service manual says it's 12 Newton meters, so I'm going to torque that. But honestly, I don't think this one, the torque, isn't as important. Oops. I'm just going to torque it anyway, because why not? There we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of anti-seize around the bolts. Now I'm going to use the compression tool to push this back.
A few moments later.
Put the brake pads in. The one with the spring goes in the inside, and the one that doesn't have one is going to go on the outside. And I just used some brake cleaner to get some dirt off here and on the caliper as well. And then I'm going to put a little bit of brake lube on the ears, the brake pads, so that they move smoothly. Now take your caliper and put him over the bracket. I'm going to use the old guide pins. I'm going to clean it off with some brake cleaner and then lube it before putting them in. I torqued these down to 35 Newton meters. I put the plastic caps back on. Now, before you put the wheels on, don't forget to plug the connector back in. It's that one right there. Otherwise, you're going to get a warning message when you turn the ignition on. So we're going to do that right now. Don't forget your retaining springs. I almost did. So there you go. That's your new brake pads, brake rotors. And now I'm gonna put the wheel back on and then torque them to 120 Newton meters. That is all you need to know about changing your rear brake rotors and pads on your Audi TT MK3. I'm not going to show you the other side because the process is going to be exactly the same. And now we're going to lower the vehicle, close the brake fluid reservoir, and then turn the ignition on to see if there are any errors or warnings. For the big moment. Okay, so the video got cut off because the phone automatically connected the Bluetooth with the car. But no warnings, I'm really happy. And I forgot to mention this, but when you first park the car, before you do the brake job, do not, put on the parking brake. You need to release it. I don't know why, that's just how I was told. And before you start driving, press on the brakes a couple times. And then I'm just gonna try the parking brake. See if it releases. No warnings. Yay! So that is all to it. I hope you guys found this video helpful. And maybe I'll see you next time when I do another job on my car. Thank you for watching.